You know, it's a funny thing about time, isn't it? One minute you're busy building a life, raising a family, chasing goals, and the next, you find yourself looking back on decades of memories, lessons learned, and maybe, just maybe, a few things you're still holding on to tighter than you realize. Sometimes, as we navigate the later chapters of life, say, after 65, we can find ourselves feeling a bit weighed down. It's not just physical aches and pains. Often, it's the emotional and mental baggage that starts to feel heavier. It's a painful reality for many of us. We carry around regrets from years gone by. We worry incessantly about things we can't control. We feel obligated to keep doing things that drain us. And we measure ourselves against standards that no longer serve us. Or maybe never did. These invisible weights can steal our joy, dim our light, and surprisingly, even impact our physical health. They create stress, tension, and a constant undercurrent of unease. But what if there was a secret to feeling lighter, happier, and even potentially living a longer, more vibrant life? It's not a magic pill or a complicated diet. It's about actively choosing to release certain things, to let go. In this video, we're going to explore 4 specific things that, once you consciously decide to release them after 65, can make a profound difference in your daily life and overall well-being. It's about creating space for more peace, more joy, and more freedom. So please, stick around and watch to the very end, because there's something we'll touch on that might truly surprise you about how much power you still hold. You know, speaking of carrying burdens, sometimes the heaviest ones aren't just the physical things we lift, but the emotional weight of what we carry in our hearts and minds. And for many of us, especially as we get older, one of the biggest sources of that weight is dwelling on the past, not just remembering happy times, but holding on to regrets, rehashing old mistakes, and constantly playing the what-if game. You know what I mean? What if I had taken that job offer all those years ago? What if I hadn't said that hurtful thing? What if I had made different choices about my career, or my relationships, or my finances? It's so easy to get caught in that loop, running scenarios over and over, beating ourselves up for things that happened years, even decades ago. Think about it. Every time you mentally revisit one of these past situations with a sense of guilt, shame, or frustration, you're not just recalling a memory, you're bringing the negative emotions associated with it right back into your present moment. It's like picking up a heavy rock that you put down years ago and deciding to carry it around again today. And for what the past is immutable, we cannot go back and change a single decision, a single word spoken, a single path not taken. Holding on to regret doesn't punish the past. It punishes your present self. It robs you of the peace and joy available to you right now. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and a general feeling of dissatisfaction with the life you do have, simply because you're fixated on the one you didn't build, or the mistakes you feel you made while building this one. Sometimes, this dwelling on the past manifests in subtle ways. Maybe you constantly tell stories about old failures, reinforcing a narrative that you aren't good enough or that you messed up. Maybe you avoid certain places or people because they are tied to a painful memory you haven't processed. Maybe you just spend quiet moments sighing about roads not taken. All of this energy, all of this precious time and mental space is being consumed by something that is over and done. So, how do you begin to let go of past regrets and what-ifs? It's not about forgetting the past or pretending difficult things didn't happen. It's about changing your relationship with it. The first step is acknowledging that you are holding on to something. Maybe write down the specific regrets or what-ifs that come to mind most often. Just putting them on paper can sometimes lessen their power. Then, for each one, ask yourself, what is holding on to this doing for me now? Be honest. Is it serving any positive purpose? Usually, the answer is no. Next, Practice acceptance. This is perhaps the hardest part, but also the most freeing. Accept that you made the best decision you could with the information, understanding, and emotional state you had at the time. Seriously, think about that. Were you younger, less experienced under pressure? Were you simply human? Yes, you were. We all make mistakes. We all choose paths that, in hindsight, might not have been the optimal ones. But that hindsight is a luxury you didn't have in the moment. So, offer yourself the same compassion you would offer a dear friend. Imagine a friend came to you with the exact same regret. Would you scold them and tell them they should have known better? Or would you offer kindness and understanding? Extend that same kindness to yourself. Another powerful practice is extracting the lesson. Every perceived mistake or wrong turn holds a lesson. Instead of just reliving the pain, ask, what did I learn from this? Maybe you learned about resilience, about what's truly important to you, about the kind of people you want around you, or about your own strengths and weaknesses. Once you identify the lesson, you can see the experience not just as a failure, but as a valuable, albeit sometimes painful, part of your journey that helped shape you into the person you are today. The past is not just a collection of mistakes. It's the forge in which your current wisdom and character were formed. If a regret involves another person, and it's safe and appropriate, sometimes a conversation or even a simple act of amends can help. But often, the person you need to make peace with most is yourself. This might involve a personal ritual, like writing a letter to your past self, offering forgiveness and understanding you don't have to send it, or spending quiet time in reflection, consciously stating your intention to release the burden. Finally, redirect your energy to the present. When you find yourself slipping back into the what-if spiral, gently bring your mind back to what is happening right now. What can you see, hear, smell, taste, or feel in this moment? What is one small thing you can do right now that brings you a sense of peace or purpose? It takes practice. But like any muscle, your ability to focus on the present and let go of the past strengthens with use. Releasing these past burdens creates so much more mental and emotional space for gratitude, for enjoying the simple pleasures of today, and for engaging fully with the people you care about. And speaking of people and how we relate to the world around us, there's another weight we often carry, one that silently chips away at our contentment and joy, the constant need to compare ourselves. You see it everywhere, don't you? On social media if you use it, in conversations with friends, even just walking down the street. Someone is fitter, has more money, their house is nicer, their children visit more often, they travel more, they seem happier. It's easy, almost automatic, to look at others and then look back at ourselves and feel less than. This comparison trap is particularly insidious as we get older. We might compare our current physical state to our younger selves, focusing on limitations rather than capabilities. We might compare our financial situation to peers who seem to have retired more comfortably. We might compare our social calendar, or lack thereof, to friends who seem to have bustling lives. We might even compare our past achievements to what others are still doing now. And inevitably, when we compare, we often measure our perceived weaknesses against someone else's perceived strengths. It's a game you can never win. There will always be someone who seems to have more of something you want. Holding on to the need to constantly measure yourself against others is incredibly damaging. It breeds envy, resentment, and dissatisfaction. It makes it difficult to appreciate your own unique journey, your own accomplishments, and your own blessings. You become so focused on what you don't have, or what you aren't doing compared to someone else, that you fail to see the richness and value in your own life. It ties your self-worth to external factors, what you own, what you do, how you look, rather than to who you are as a person. And let's be honest, comparing the last third of your life to the highlight reel of someone else's can leave you feeling pretty inadequate. It also creates unnecessary pressure. You might feel you should be doing certain things or living a certain way because others are. This can lead to making choices that aren't genuinely aligned with your own desires or needs, simply to keep up appearances or to feel normal or successful by someone else's definition. It steals your authenticity. So, how do you break free from the comparison trap? The first step, again, is awareness. Catch yourself when you're doing it. Notice the thoughts. Oh, they can still do that. I used to be able to do that. Or, look at their beautiful garden. Mine is such a mess. Simply recognizing the comparison happening in your mind is powerful. Next, shift your focus inward instead of looking outward at others. Look inward at yourself. What are your values? What brings you genuine joy? What are your strengths? What have you accomplished, big or small, that you are proud of? Spend time reflecting on your own unique path and the person you have become. Practice self-compassion and self-acceptance. Recognize that your journey is unique, shaped by a million different factors that are completely different from anyone else's. There is no one right way to live after 65. Your right way is the one that feels authentic and fulfilling to you. Limit your exposure to comparison triggers. If scrolling through social media leaves you feeling inadequate, perhaps reduce the time you spend on it. Or curate your feed to focus on things that inspire rather than provoke envy. If certain conversations with friends always devolve into comparisons, perhaps steer the conversation to different topics or limit those interactions if they are consistently draining. Practice gratitude for what you have. Actively focusing on the blessings in your own life, your health, whatever its state, your relationships, your home, your hobbies, your experiences, your wisdom, is a powerful antidote to comparison. The more you appreciate what you have, the less time and energy you'll spend yearning for what others appear to possess. And remember, everyone has their struggles. That friend who seems to have it all might be battling illness you don't know about, dealing with family issues, or struggling with their own insecurities. What you see on the surface is rarely the full picture. When you find yourself comparing, try to replace the judgmental thought with a thought of kindness or shared humanity. They seem happy, and I hope they truly are. Or, everyone has their challenges. I'm focusing on navigating my own. Letting go of the need to constantly measure yourself against others is like shedding a heavy cloak. It allows you to stand taller, breathe easier, and appreciate the wonderful, unique person you are. Right now, continuing on this theme of external pressures and expectations, there's another significant burden many of us carry, especially as we get older. Unhealthy obligations and the fear of saying no. Throughout our lives, we've been conditioned to say yes, yes to helping out, yes to volunteering, yes to attending events, yes to taking on responsibilities, often because we feel it's expected of us, or because we don't want to disappoint someone, or because we feel guilty saying no. We build lives packed with commitments, many of which might have been necessary or fulfilling at one time, but which now feel like draining chores. After 65, your energy levels might be different. Your priorities may have shifted dramatically, and your need for rest and personal time might be greater. Yet, the habit of saying yes persists. You might continue to volunteer for things you no longer enjoy, agree to babysit when you're exhausted, attend social functions out of a sense of duty rather than desire, or take on tasks for family members that they could realistically do themselves. This isn't about being selfish. It's about recognizing that your time and energy are precious resources, and you have the right to decide how you spend them. Holding on to unhealthy obligations and the fear of saying no is detrimental in several ways. Firstly, it leads to burnout. When you constantly overcommit, you deplete your physical and emotional reserves. This can manifest as chronic fatigue, irritability, increased stress, and even physical health problems. Secondly, it steals your time. Time that you could be spending on activities that genuinely nourish you, connect you with loved ones in meaningful ways, pursue a long-held interest, or simply relax and recharge. Instead, your calendar is filled with things you feel you have to do, leaving little room for what you want to do. Thirdly, it erodes your sense of self. When you constantly override your own needs and desires to meet the perceived expectations of others, you can start to lose touch with what those needs and desires even are. Your identity becomes wrapped up in being the person who is always available, always helping, always saying yes, even if it's at your own expense. This can lead to resentment towards the people you're helping and a feeling of being taken for granted. So, how do you begin to let go of these unhealthy obligations and the fear of saying no? It starts with a fundamental shift in perspective. Recognize that saying no to one thing is often saying yes to yourself, your well-being, and the things that truly matter to you. It's not an act of rejection. It's an act of self-preservation and intentional living. Identify your current obligations. Make a list. Be honest with yourself about which ones genuinely bring you joy or are aligned with your current values, and which ones feel like heavy burdens you carry out of habit or guilt. For the latter, explore whether they can be reduced, modified, or eliminated entirely. Maybe you can volunteer less frequently or offer help in a different capacity that is less demanding. Practice saying no in small steps. Start with lower stakes situations. Instead of a flat no, you can offer alternatives. I can't make it to the full event, but I could stop by for an hour. Or, I can't take that on right now, but perhaps I can help with something smaller next week. Sometimes, a simple, that doesn't work for me right now, is sufficient. You don't owe anyone a lengthy explanation or excuse. Polite but firm is perfectly acceptable. Manage expectations, both yours and others. You might need to have direct conversations with family members or organizations about your capacity and your changing needs as you get older. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but clear communication can prevent misunderstandings and resentment down the line. Remember, the people who truly care about you want you to be happy and healthy, even if it means they need to find alternative support. Overcoming the fear of disappointing others is a big piece of this. Remind yourself that your primary responsibility now is to yourself and your well-being. You've likely spent decades caring for others, raising children, supporting partners, contributing to your community and workplace. It is more than okay. It is necessary to prioritize your own needs now. You are not letting people down by taking care of yourself. You are modeling healthy boundaries and self-respect. Letting go of the need to be a perpetual people-pleaser frees up incredible energy and allows you to consciously choose how you spend your precious time, dedicating it to what truly enriches your life. And while we're talking about things that weigh us down and steal our peace, there's one more significant burden that becomes particularly heavy in later life: excessive worry about the future and things you can't control. It's natural to have concerns about health, finances, loved ones, the state of the world. But there's a difference between having reasonable concerns and being consumed by worry. Excessive worry is a relentless cycle of imagining worst-case scenarios, agonizing over potential problems that may never materialize, and feeling anxious about outcomes completely outside of your influence. As we age, the uncertainties of life can feel more immediate. Concerns about declining health, potential loss of independence, financial security in retirement, and the well-being of our children and grandchildren can fuel a constant undercurrent of anxiety. We might worry about getting sick, about being a burden, about running out of money, about our memory failing, about the future of the planet our grandchildren will inherit. These worries, while understandable, can become debilitating if we let them dominate our thoughts. Holding on to excessive worry is incredibly draining. It impacts your mental health, leading to chronic stress, anxiety disorders, and even depression. It steals your sleep, affecting your physical recovery and cognitive function. It can manifest physically as tension headaches, digestive issues, and a weakened immune system. It also prevents you from fully experiencing and enjoying the present moment, when your mind is constantly racing ahead, conjuring potential problems. You are simply not present to the good things happening right now. You miss the quiet beauty of the morning, the laughter shared with a friend, the simple pleasure of a warm cup of tea. Your focus is fixed on a hypothetical, often negative, future. Furthermore, excessive worry is fundamentally unproductive. Worrying about something you cannot control does not change the outcome. It merely makes you miserable in the meantime. It's like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. It gives you the illusion of being productive or prepared, but it actually paralyzes you, draining the energy you could use to address things that are within your control. So, how do you release the heavy burden of excessive worry about the future and things you can't control? This, too, requires conscious effort and practice. First, become aware of what you are worrying about. Is it something hypothetical? Is it something entirely outside your influence? Distinguish between productive concern, thinking about a potential issue and making a plan to address the parts you can control, and unproductive worry, ruminating endlessly on possibilities you cannot change. Once you've identified unproductive worries, practice challenging them. What is the actual probability of the thing you're worrying about happening? Often, our worries are based on unlikely worst-case scenarios. What evidence do you have that this negative future is inevitable? What are the potential, less catastrophic, outcomes? Learning to question your fearful thoughts can lessen their power. Focus on what is within your control. While you can't control the global economy or whether you get sick, you can control your daily habits, like eating reasonably well, staying active, getting enough sleep, and managing stress. You can control how you prepare for potential financial uncertainties within limits by consulting with an advisor or reviewing your budget. You can control how you spend your time and energy today. Shift your focus from the vast, uncontrollable future to the manageable, actionable present. Mindfulness practices can be incredibly helpful here. Learning to anchor yourself in the present moment through techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or simply paying attention to your senses can interrupt the cycle of worry and bring you back to reality, which is usually far less frightening than the scenarios your mind creates. Limit your exposure to news and information that fuels anxiety, especially before bed. While it's important to be informed, constant exposure to negative news cycles can exacerbate worry about things far beyond your personal control. Choose when and how you consume news. And finally, cultivate trust. Trust in your own resilience. Trust in your ability to handle challenges as they arise, because you always have, haven't you? And trust that even in uncertain times, there is still good in the world and in your life. Letting go of excessive worry isn't about becoming carefree or naive. It's about choosing not to let fear dictate your present experience. It's about reclaiming your peace of mind and focusing your energy on living fully today. So, there we have it. 4 significant weights that many of us carry, often unknowingly, that can steal our joy, limit our energy, and add unnecessary stress to our lives, especially as we navigate our years after 65. We talked about the burden of holding on to past regrets and the endless what-ifs, which keep us stuck in a past we can't change. We explored the insidious trap of constantly comparing ourselves to others, their perceived successes, possessions, or abilities, which prevents us from appreciating our own unique value and journey. We discussed the draining weight of unhealthy obligations and the fear of saying no, which leaves us depleted and resentful. And finally, We looked at the heavy blanket of excessive worry about the future and things completely outside our control, which steals our present peace and vitality. Letting go of these things isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing practice. It requires awareness, intention, and patience with yourself. There will be days when a past regret resurfaces, or you catch yourself comparing, or you find it hard to say no, or the worries creep back in. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. It's about building the muscle of conscious release. Remember, making even small shifts in these areas can make a profound difference. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you weren't constantly dragging the chains of the past, or trying to measure up to everyone else, or feeling obligated to do things you dread, or being consumed by anxieties about what might happen years from now. Think of the energy, the time, and the mental space that would be freed up. This space can be filled with so much more genuine connection with loved ones. Pursuing hobbies you love, trying new things, finding moments of quiet contentment, and simply enjoying the incredible gift of being alive right now. This journey of letting go is not about giving up or becoming passive. It's about empowered choice. It's about choosing to release what no longer serves you, what holds you back, what dims your light, so that you can make room for more happiness, more peace, and a deeper connection to yourself and the world around you. It's about living your life on your own terms, guided by your own wisdom and desires, rather than being driven by past hurts, external pressures, or future fears. If any of these points resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Which of these 4 things feels the heaviest for you right now? What is one small step you feel you could take this week towards letting go of it? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could be incredibly helpful and encouraging to others in our community. And if you found value in this conversation, if it sparked something within you or offered a new perspective, please give this video a like. It really helps us reach more people who might benefit from this message. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos designed to help you navigate this wonderful stage of life with more joy, purpose, and vitality. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Releasing these burdens isn't just about living longer. It's about living better, more fully, more authentically. You've earned the right to feel light, to feel free, to feel happy. You have so much wisdom, experience, and life left to live. So, let go of what weighs you down and live your best life at every age.